she said. Open relationships are normal now. Don't be insecure. After I saw her messages from some random guy, I let my ex have her freedom and moved out quietly. Now she's showing up at my shop and local diners, panicking because none of her options want anything serious. She laughed like she didn't care who was watching, and that's what caught me. Not her tattoos, or the fishnets, or the way she waved that cornbread muffin like it was a prize. It was the laugh. Loud, messy, free. My name's Jake. I'm 29. I live in El Dorado Springs, Missouri, and I work at a local auto shop. I fix things. Engines, brakes, problems that make sense if you look close enough. But Riley? She was the opposite of that. Chaos in a tank top with pink hair and half a chili stain on her cheek. We met at the county fair's annual chili cook-off. I was there with my buddy Tanner, sipping cheap beer, trying to vote for the least burn option. She was behind one of the booths, laughing with some tattooed guy who had gauges big enough to fit nickels through. She saw me staring, winked, then pointed at her pot of chili like it was some sort of challenge. You look like you play it safe. Try mine, she said, holding the ladle out like a weapon. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. I didn't say no. Her chili was way too hot, made my nose run, but I went back for seconds just to talk to her again. Riley was a tattoo artist, sort of. She bounced around different shops in Springfield and Kansas City, posted her sketches on TikTok, had a few viral moments. Always chasing the next thing, always half in on something new. I didn't get it, but I liked her spark. She said she liked how solid I was. Said it like it was rare, like a compliment and a warning at the same time. Things moved fast. First dates turned into sleepovers. Sleepovers turned into her keeping her sketchbooks on my kitchen counter. Then came the job gaps, the this shop's toxic stories. I didn't ask too many questions. I picked up the slack, paid rent a couple times when her card declined, bought her an iPad to help with her tattoo designs. Said it was an investment in her future. She kissed me like I was the only real thing in her world. And for a while, I believed I was. The thing is, people like Riley, they burn bright. You think you're holding the flame, but you're just standing too close to the fire. I didn't know that yet. Not back then. Back then, I was just a guy in a garage who thought he'd found something different. And when she called me home, I believed her. I started noticing things when the TikToks changed. First, it was just her tattoos, her sketches, her goofy dancing in my kitchen. Then it was her in crop tops with captions like healing in real time and don't cage wild things. At first, I laughed, figured it was all part of her brand. But one night, she was scrolling her phone next to me on the couch, smirking at something, and out of nowhere she said, "Monogamy's just a social script." I looked at her. "What? You know?" She shrugged, not even looking up. "The idea that one person's supposed to check all your boxes forever. It's kinda outdated, don't you think?" "I mean, no," I said. "I thought that was the whole point. You pick someone. You commit." She chuckled. "God, you're such a straight arrow sometimes." There wasn't heat behind it. Just this tone like I didn't get it, like I was quaint. Then came Courtney. I met her at a bar when Riley dragged me out to Springfield for drinks and vibes. She had neon green hair, fake lashes, and a voice like a cartoon character on speed. Spent the whole night posting selfies and yelling about astrology. Her Instagram bio read, "Open vibes only, poly maybe, love is fluid." After that night, Riley started hanging out with her more. Late nights, random collab shoots, spontaneous road trips to KC. "Don't wait up," she'd say, grabbing her keys. "You going with Courtney again?" She'd pause. "You're not the jealous type, right?" That became her new favorite question. One night, I asked her if she was going to be home for dinner. I'd picked up her favorite pad thai and lit the candle she said made our place smell less like transmission fluid. She came in at 10, smelled like club smoke and tequila, didn't even say sorry. "You could have texted," I said, trying to stay calm. I waited. She kicked off her boots. "I don't owe you a play-by-play, Jake. You're not my dad." "I didn't say that," I replied. "I just wanted to eat together, like we used to." She rolled her eyes. "You're acting clingy." "It's not cute. That stuck." "Clingy." I kept trying to be cool about it. I reminded myself she was creative, free-spirited. I'd known that going in. But more and more, anytime I asked anything, even basic stuff, it turned into a fight. One afternoon, she was getting ready, eyeliner sharp enough to kill a man, tight jeans, black boots. "You heading out?" I asked, drying off a wrench in the kitchen after fixing her busted sink again. She didn't even look at me. "Yup, who with?" That made her stop. She turned toward me real slow. "Wow, that's where we are now?" "It's just a question," I said. "You going with Courtney again?" "Why does it matter? You think I'm lying? You don't trust me now?" I sighed, biting down on my jaw. "I'm just asking, Riley. You used to tell me these things." Her voice jumped an octave. "Because you used to not interrogate me like I was on trial." I asked who you're going out with. "That's not an interrogation." She grabbed her bag, slung it over her shoulder. "You're acting old-fashioned and insecure, Jake. That's not the vibe I signed up for." Then she slammed the door and peeled out of the driveway. I stood in the living room, lights off, bag of trash still in my hand. Didn't even know why I was still trying. But the second I asked myself that, I took the trash outside and waited. Waited to see if she'd come home at all. She came back around 2 in the morning, didn't say a word, just kicked off her boots and climbed into bed like nothing had happened. Next morning, she made eggs, played music on her iPad like it was just another day. That night, we were on the couch. She was curled up next to me, legs across my lap, sketching something on Procreate, some half-naked angel with a dagger through her heart. I was flipping through TV channels, not really watching. "Just stuck. Be right back," she said, setting the iPad down and heading to the bathroom. I didn't mean to look. Swear to God, I didn't. The screen just lit up on its own. One of those banner notifications slid across the top. Austin, still thinking about that night. Damn, fire. I froze. Felt it like a punch to the throat. Everything else, TV, lamp hum, her playlist on Spotify, just faded out. I didn't touch the screen, didn't scroll, didn't need to. That one sentence said everything. She came back out a minute later, rubbing lotion on her hands. "You see if that new episode dropped yet?" I kept my eyes on the screen. "Who's Austin?" She blinked. "What? Guy who just texted. Said he's still thinking about that night." She stared for a second, then let out this dry laugh. "Oh my God, were you snooping on my messages?" "Nope," I said. "Your iPad lit up. It was just there." She grabbed it off the couch like I'd threatened to break it. "Jesus, Jake, this is exactly what I meant the other night. You don't trust me. I'm asking a question. Who is he?" She shrugged, turning the iPad off. "It's not a big deal. You hooked up with him?" She paused just a little too long. Then she rolled her eyes and said, "It was one time. I was out. Things happened. It wasn't like cheating." I sat back. "It wasn't." "No," she said like I was a child. "It was just exploring. Connection. I'm figuring myself out. That doesn't mean I don't care about you." I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. She kept going. "Look, I know this is hard for you to wrap your head around, but not everyone wants the same script. You want loyalty like it's black and white. I'm not wired that way. I'm trying to be honest and open and evolved here, and you're acting like I stabbed you." "You did," I said flatly. She stood up, pacing now. "You always do this. You get all quiet and righteous. You act like you're above everyone because you stick to your little rules. Like commitment makes you better." "No," I said, "but it makes me consistent." She stopped pacing. "So what now? You gonna dump me because I had one night where I didn't color inside the lines?" I looked at her, really looked, and it hit me. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something that just happened. She was proud of it, like she was testing a theory. She wasn't just changing the rules. She was changing the whole damn game while I was still trying to play fair. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water just to have something to do. She stayed in the living room, arms crossed, like she was waiting for me to explode. I didn't. She followed me in, leaned on the counter. "Well, are you going to say anything?" I took a sip, set the glass down slow. "You already said it all." She flinched at that. Didn't expect it. Then she turned, grabbed her keys, and left. Didn't even ask me if I was okay. Didn't care if I was. Next morning, I was up before the sun. Didn't sleep much. Just stared at the ceiling until the light cracked through the blinds. I heard her coming down the hall around 7, humming like it was any other Tuesday. "Smells good," she said, walking into the kitchen. "Coffee's fresh," I replied, setting a mug on the counter. She smiled, pulled on one of my hoodies like it still meant something. "I'm driving up to KC today," she said between sips. "Guest spot at Ink Riot. Should be cool. Might film some stuff for Instagram." I nodded. Safe drive. That was it. No fight. No tears. No mention of last night. Just this fake domestic bubble she thought I'd float in forever. She left around 8. I watched her car roll out of the driveway, taillights blinking left toward the highway. By 8:15, I was on the phone with my cousin Dave. "You still got that old Silverado?" "Yeah, why?" "Need it. Just for the day." 30 minutes later, I was loading boxes. I didn't rage, didn't toss anything, just packed, deliberate, cold, like changing brake pads or replacing a fuel line. I took what was mine. Tools, work boots, my old guitar from high school, shirts, jeans, my dad's fishing knife. Left the iPad. Left the boots I bought her for her birthday. Left the Polaroid camera she never used but had to have. I found an old piece of notepad paper, wrote 8 words, and folded it once. "You're untethered now. Don't look for me." Set it on the counter, right where I'd laid her coffee that morning. By noon, I was gone. I drove 2 towns over to Stockton, pulled into a gravel driveway behind a 1-story house with chipped siding and wind chimes that didn't match. Guy who owned it, Bill, was retired Navy, lived alone, used to drink with my uncle, rented out the room above his garage for extra cash. "Cash up front," he said, handing me the spare key. "No problem." The room was small, slanted ceiling, faint smell of old wood and engine grease. But it was quiet, and mine. I set my bag down, hung my flannel on a hook by the door, sat on the edge of the mattress, and stared out the dusty window. No calls, no texts, no post from her saying, "I feel seen," or "trust the process." Not yet, and I didn't need them. She wanted freedom. Now she had it. I gave it to her the only way I knew how. I disappeared. First couple mornings, I woke up early out of habit, made 2 cups of coffee without thinking. One went cold on the nightstand. Her voice wasn't in the room. No music, no TikToks echoing off the walls. Just silence and that old box fan rattling in the window. I kept waiting for some kind of crash, like my chest would cave in, but it didn't. I just felt still. I filled the quiet with movement. Dug my old dirt bike out of my cousin's shed. Chain was rusted, tires flat. I spent 3 nights getting it to run again, knuckles bleeding from the stubborn bolts. It helped. Turning a wrench made more sense than trying to unpack what the hell went wrong with us. My dad called around the same time. Said the Bass were biting early out on Stockton Lake, so we hit the water. He didn't ask questions, just passed me a beer and handed me the tackle box. "You look like hell," he said. "I've looked worse." "You have." We laughed. For the first time in months, it wasn't forced. I hit the gym again, not for revenge, not to level up, or whatever nonsense people post after a breakup. I just needed to sweat, needed my body to ache in a way I could control. Then one Saturday, I drove back to El Dorado for beers with some old buddies. Guys Riley once called cornbread basic. "Thought you dropped off the planet," my friend Nate said, slapping my shoulder. "Pretty much did," I told him. We sat outside the bar, cheap pitchers, country music spilling from the speakers, everyone talking over each other. I caught myself smiling without checking who saw it. That was new. I opened a new savings account and started stuffing it every payday. I made a budget. Didn't realize how much I'd spent trying to float 2 people. I also started writing. Nothing dramatic, just scribbles in a notebook I bought at the gas station. Bullet points, half-thoughts, questions I didn't need answers to. One line I kept coming back to: "I miss who I thought she was." Because I didn't miss her. Not the eye rolls. Not the emotional spin zones. Not the late nights where I sat on the couch with a plate of cold pad thai, telling myself she just needed space. No, I missed the version of her I'd built in my head. The one who said I was her anchor, who danced barefoot in my garage, who made life feel wild without burning it to the ground. That version, she never existed. One night I sat on the steps outside my garage apartment, watching the bugs flicker under the porch light, beer in hand, dirt still under my nails from working on the bike. I felt tired, but not broken. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't wonder where she was. Couple weeks after I stopped thinking about her voice, I got a text from Jenna, mutual friend, mostly Riley's side. Not trying to get in the middle, but "Riley's not doing great. Just thought you should know." I didn't reply, didn't even open it for 2 days. When I did, I swiped and hit delete like it was spam. Next came the DM, different Instagram handle, low follower count, no profile pic. I almost didn't notice it. The message just said, "Miss you. Please talk." I stared at it for a minute. Heart rate didn't even move. Then I blocked the account and went back to organizing my toolbox. The next morning, I got a Cash App notification. She sent $5 with the note. "Wish I handled things differently." $5. Like guilt could be tipped. I hit refund. No comment. 2 days later, another DM. New burner. This one longer. Voice shifted. "You disappeared. That was cruel. You didn't even give me a chance to explain." Explain? She explained enough the night. She looked me in the eye and said it wasn't cheating. More DMs trickled in. Each one tugged at a different tone. Sad, apologetic, then bitter, defensive. "You acted like Mr. Perfect, but you just gave up. You knew I wasn't like other girls. Why did you act surprised? You were never supportive of my growth. You just wanted control." Control. That one made me laugh out loud in the middle of a gas station parking lot. I didn't tell anyone, didn't post about it, didn't screenshot the messages and send them to friends. I just let her spiral alone. But word still found its way back to me. Tanner came by the shop one afternoon to pick up his truck and lingered by the door. "You hear about Austin?" he asked. "No, and I don't care." He smirked. Dude ghosted her right after she tattooed his initials on her hip. I didn't say anything. She tried getting back with some other guy too. Didn't last more than 2 weeks. Sounds about right. He leaned in. Also, she's been trying to spin things. Told some folks you bailed on her when she was finally being authentic. And no one's buying it. Even Courtney's keeping her distance now. I nodded. Appreciate the heads up. He tapped the hood. You dodged a damn bullet. Back home, I checked her main IG once out of pure curiosity. Her recent posts looked desperate, not tragic, just try hard. Soft focus selfies with long captions about healing journeys and staying unbothered. The likes were down. Comments were dry. Energy was off. One video had her dancing in a parking garage in a glittery top, lip-syncing something about being the villain. I watched it twice, not because I missed her, but because it didn't even look like the same person. It was like watching a stranger wear her skin. She built her whole brand on being untamed. But now that no one was clapping, It just looked like noise. I muted her account. Not blocked, just enough to keep the silence clean. Then I went out to the garage and fired up the dirt bike. Let the engine scream until my ears rang. She had her audience. I had my piece. I was coming back from the gym, headphones in, sweat still drying on my shirt, when I saw her. She was sitting on the bottom step outside Bill's place. My place. Riley. Same hair, but faded now. Makeup softer, less showy. She looked thinner, like she hadn't eaten right in a while. But she smiled like we were old friends bumping into each other at the store. Hey, she said, standing up fast. I didn't stop walking, just took out one earbud. What are you doing here? I just wanted to talk. That's all. How'd you even find this place? I asked Jenna. She didn't want to tell me, but I got it out of her. Relax, I'm not stalking you. I'm not crazy. I stood still at the foot of the steps, holding the railing. You showed up uninvited. What would you call it? She winced a little, but pushed through. I'm not here to fight. I just need closure. For both of us. I nodded slowly, then said, you got the freedom you wanted. I just stepped aside. That's not fair. It's accurate. She sighed, eyes darting like she wanted to pace, but didn't trust her footing. I was figuring myself out, Jake. That's all. You have no idea how hard it is to feel like your whole identity's tied to someone else's version of stability. I let that sit for a second. Then I said, see, that right there, that's emotional manipulation dressed up as insight. It sounds good, but it's still bullshit. Her mouth opened like she had a comeback, but nothing came out. I walked past her, up the steps. She turned as I passed. You don't even want to hear my side? I already did, I said. Back when you thought exploring was a grown-up word for cheating. I made a mistake. No, I said, unlocking the door. You made a choice. Her voice cracked. I didn't think you'd just disappear like that. I know, I said, turning the knob. That was the part you couldn't imagine, me walking away instead of sticking around to be reshaped. Then she started crying. Quiet, not performative. Hands in her sleeves, head down, mascara smudging just enough to look human again. I didn't flinch, didn't say a thing. She looked up. I really did love you. I believe that. You just loved yourself more. I opened the door and stepped inside. She didn't follow, didn't scream, didn't bang, just stood there in the hallway, small and unsure, like the show was finally over and she didn't know how to be without an audience. I let the door close behind me, locked it, didn't look through the peephole, didn't need to. I'd already seen everything I needed to. 2 days after the lobby mess, I got an email titled, "Please read," from Riley's mom. I didn't even skim it, just clicked archive and went back to my sandwich. Then came a text from her sister, Haley. We'd spoken maybe twice in person. I know things got complicated, but she's hurting. Don't shut her out like this. Blocked. I was done hearing about Riley from people who never saw the real version up close. The version that gaslit, twisted, made you feel like you were the problem for wanting basic decency. I'd lived in that fog long enough. Then one evening I opened the mailbox and saw a pale blue envelope with my name in her handwriting. Didn't open it. Didn't need to. I stood there for a second, then ripped it in half right over the gravel, tossed it in the trash bin by the fence. Felt like tearing off a scab that never should have been there. Next hit came at work. I was under the hood of a '09 Tacoma, replacing a belt when my boss Carl came out with a weird look on his face. Jake, there's someone up front, says she's your girlfriend? I wiped my hands on a rag and walked to the lobby. Riley, wearing one of those off-the-shoulder sweaters she used to live in, arms crossed, like she had every right to be standing in my world again. Hey, she said like it was casual. I didn't move. You need to go. I just wanted to talk. You're not responding to anything. You think showing up at my job is going to change that? Carl stood behind the counter, eyes wide. I turned to him. Sorry, man. Won't happen again. He nodded and went in the back. Riley stepped forward like she didn't hear a word I said. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand my patterns. You just cut me off before I had the chance to grow. Not my job to wait around while you figure out whether or not you want to treat someone right. She blinked, started to say something, but I was already walking away. Last straw came the following Friday. I went out for lunch with Jenna from the front office. Strictly coworkers, nothing more. We were at West Side Diner, splitting a plate of fries, talking about brake rotors, when I felt it. That ripple of tension behind my shoulder. Riley was standing 2 booths back, eyes locked on me like I'd just committed a crime. She walked over, slow, like she was deciding whether to scream or smile. Well, she said, loud enough for the whole place to hear. That was fast. Jenna froze. Should I go? No, I said, standing. You're good. Stay. I looked Riley straight in the face. Calm. Level. You don't get to do this, I said. Do what? She asked, fake innocent. Be surprised? You replace me with this? That's not what this is. She scoffed. So you're just hanging out now? Funny. I don't remember you being this friendly with your coworkers when we were together. You remember a lot of things wrong. She folded her arms. You're really okay pretending like none of it mattered? No, I'm not pretending. I'm accepting. There's a difference. Her jaw clenched. You dressed up betrayal in big words to dodge the truth, I said. But deep down, even you know what you did. The room was dead quiet now, just the buzz of the soda fountain and someone coughing near the back. She didn't say anything, didn't move, just stood there like someone who finally ran out of ways to spin the story. I turned to Jenna, dropped a 20 on the table. I'm good. You staying or heading back? I'll catch up, she said, still stunned. I nodded once, then walked out the door. Didn't check if Riley followed. She didn't. I only know because I saw her still standing in the parking lot through the rearview mirror, arms limp, head down, like the fight had finally left her. The fire pit was already lit when we pulled up. It was one of those late September nights where the air smelled like smoke and damp grass, and everyone brought cheap beer and folding chairs that creaked too loud. Tanner waved us over from across the yard, and Alyssa gave me that small, crooked smile she did every time she was a little nervous but didn't want to show it. She fit in right away, talked tractors with Nate, joked about grease stains on my jeans, cracked open a Miller without asking if it was organic. She was solid, real. About an hour in, we were mid-story about some guy backing a boat trailer into the lake with the brakes still on when I saw her. Riley. She came through the gate like she wasn't sure why she was there. Same face, same walk, different energy. She didn't see me right away, then she did. She stopped dead, halfway between the cooler and the fire, eyes locked on me and Alyssa. 1 second, 2. Then she looked down, turned around, and walked right back out. Didn't say a word, didn't cause a scene, just left. I watched her go and didn't feel a damn thing shift inside me. Later that night, Alyssa and I sat on my porch, legs up on the rail, listening to cicadas and sipping what was left of the night. She leaned her head on my shoulder. That was nice, she said. Yeah, I said. It was. No tension, no second guessing, no what ifs, just fireflies in the yard, a soft breeze, and a woman who didn't need me to lose myself to love her. Turns out, letting someone go isn't the hard part. It's letting go of the version of yourself that let them stay. But I did, and I'm not going back.